Welcome back to the Cool Comic Show. Uh, that's an off-air joke that's never gonna air. My name is Damien,
For
and
3
as
years.
always, I am joined by Galactic Mr. E, aka Mr. E, aka, and we're back to talk about Young Justice
That's
episode
great.
17. This one is called Leviathan Wakes. This is the final episode
Leviathan.
of
Yes.
Calderon's arc. Um, just off the jump, I'm gonna say when I was watching this episode, it was kind of had a weird feeling of since there was such a long break of 3 months, right, mid-season, and then last week it comes back, and there's 3 episodes, and then this week is 1 episode. I feel
It was
like while I was watching this episode, everything was happening so fast. I
yes.
was like,
It
this is
was
things are finishing
every
quickly.
everything happened so fast, and it was awkward.
Yeah,
The episode itself was good. The pacing was awkward.
yeah.
If they were going to do this, they should have just had all 4 episodes last
They
week
should have
and
done. They
started
should have
with a
done
new
two and
arc.
two. I think would have been good.
That would have been as well. That would have been great as well. But I feel like having the majority of the arc
Yeah, the whole arc last week.
last week, and then just this tiny little caveat to like wrap up the story
Yeah.
this week was just awkward placement. But again, the episode itself was still, I feel fantastic. It
Hmm.
they wrapped it up very neatly,
Hmm.
which we haven't seen much
Yeah.
this season. I think the only arc that they really wrapped up this season so far was Artemis's arc,
Hmm.
um, and now Kaldur's arc, and then of course Megan and Zatanna. Their arcs are kind of
Yeah.
overreaching the whole season.
So what were some standout parts of this episode for you, at least?
Um, some standout parts. Well, you were right. Well, we were both right.
Mhm.
You were right about Mira
Yeah,
becoming king and Arthur taking a back seat, which I think was a
I was so proud for Mira.
great.
I don't know why. I just
I would.
felt
I
I
would.
felt so proud for her.
Mira is one of my favorite
Yeah.
characters. So I was like I was big cheesing
Hmm.
when they finally gave her flowers. And another big moment. Like I said, you were right, and then I was right when it came to fucking Arian being a
Being a
clone.
clone, that's true. You did call that.
We
That's
need
very
to
true.
rename this show the Clone Wars
The
because this is
clone.
about the third or
There's
fourth
so many
clone that
clones
has
in Young
popped
Justice. Yeah,
up.
more than that, because like what? Speedy and they made like 2 clones out of Speedy, and then
Yeah,
there's like
and then
yeah,
of
there's a
course
lot.
Superboy.
Superboy. Yeah, there's so
Bit
many.
of oh my gosh. So like it was a fantastic kind of like culmination of the arc. The arc itself was wonderful.
Mhm.
Just like we said a minute ago, just the issuing of the episodes was just awkward.
Yeah, I think it would have benefited from 2 and 2.
Yeah,
Because I think even if they
definitely.
had all 4 last week, that would have been a lot. I feel like to dump
Yeah,
after 3 months, 2 months would
that's
have been a
true.
good way to get back into it, or 2 episodes, and then two
Mhm.
episodes this week.
Yeah.
But yeah, same thing for me. I would, like I just said, I don't know why I felt this like just so proud for Mira as soon as like
Mhm.
she was putting the crown on Arthur, and when she put it on him, I was like, he's gonna give it to her because this is kind of like happening quick. Again, everything in this episode
Yeah.
is happening quick,
Everything's quick.
and I felt so happy for her. And
Mhm.
now it's kind of going back to what we discussed last week of like, where is Arthur's place gonna be in
Yeah.
this whole thing? By the way, speaking
Well,
speaking of that scene, shout out to Arian clones. Arian's clone just fucking vaporized.
bro,
Looking like Doctor Manhattan when he's getting fucking.
when they showed the Order of Chaos, and like just this beam of light
Yeah,
shot
this
down, I was
fucking
like,
lights.
ooh, R.I.P.
That was so good.
R.I.P. to that man. But I do like that you get these glimpses of like I said, Megan's unresolved arc. You get this
Mhm.
glimpse of Zatanna's unresolved arc. How I was a little hurt that Zatanna still did not have a prominent role.
Nothing.
She did make an appearance as Dr. Fate, which was like,
No, honestly, I thought it was her, but then when she was walking away, I thought it was Mary.
oh, well,
'Cause I think it was like,
no,
oh no,
because
Mary.
Mary didn't
Yeah,
get
she didn't agree.
chosen.
That's true. You're right.
Yeah,
That was Zatanna then. Okay,
Mary, yeah,
you're right.
which we don't even know what happened to her. Basically, she
Yeah.
said, "All right, you're too green.
She's like, I'm out of here.
You can't
Yeah.
take on the helmet. All right, well, I'm gonna just be non-existent, I
Yeah.
guess." But I really like that. Like I said, Mira's is king now, and I really like that
What was the name
they
of it? Onyx? Yeah, Onyx.
Onyx, yeah. Yeah. Another big thing that we saw this week, which I'm sure this was one of your talking points, but another big thing we saw this week was kind of the polar opposite of Beast Boy. See, at last week, Beast Boy was met with that ultimatum,
Mm-hmm.
and we know he's been dealing with
Yep.
depression, and we know he's been taking on more than he can chew, and he kind of just like opted out of life. And so we also see that Calder has been dealing with a lot as well, which in that first episode we had Wind and his parents and
Mm-hmm.
Nightwing all be like, "Hey, you good, dog?" And
Yeah.
he's like, "Yeah, I got this," which he did have it,
Mm-hmm.
and but he knew to take a break, which is something I don't think we really saw Beast Boy do until after Superboy's death,
Mm-hmm.
which at that point it was kind of too late for him to be on a break. At that point, he was too far gone,
Mm-hmm.
um, and it was kind of good to see Calder know that he was reaching his limit and kind of pull back because both of us said like this was going to be like a horrible end, like something chaotic was going to happen
Mm-hmm.
and it was going to send him over the edge. But I'm glad that they kind of showed the other end while they're still dealing with Beast Boy's story. They showed the other end um, of what can happen if you do kind of take a break and you do reach out for help, which I thoroughly enjoyed the closing scene between him and Black Canary. I felt like you could really kind of hear the emotion in the voice actors deliverance, and it was just I think it was one of the best parts of the episode, even though it came at the very end.
100%. And that kind of goes back to what I said at the beginning of this, where it seemed like everything was getting resolved quickly. Again, we
Mhm,
talked about there should have been 2 episodes last week, 2 episodes this week, because going back to what we talked about in last week's episodes, the difference between Calder and Beast Boy, granted they're much different in age, and Calder's much more mature. Calder, I felt like watching the first 3 episodes of the return of like, oh, this is gonna get crazy. He's gonna have a super intense breakdown. But then watching this episode, because this episode takes place a few weeks after the last one, like they're still stuck
mhm.
down in the
Shout
undersea.
out to his beard.
Yeah, that sick beard. Um, and Calder handled it much more maturely, and I was like, okay, this is happening
Mhm,
quickly. So that got resolved. Everything with the king stuff got resolved.
mhm.
One thing that didn't get resolved is Superboy still fighting for his fucking life in the Phantom Zone.
Yo, shout out to Phantom Girl. She's still
Still
sleep at
KO'd. I'm telling you, she's gonna
still
be
sleep.
KO'd through the rest of the season, dude. I'm telling you. Um,
Oh,
but yeah,
and
I
I
go ahead.
I was just gonna say to piggyback off what you said about
Mm-hmm.
Superboy. Um, I I'm really kind of curious to see what's going to happen next because we are definitely showing his psyche breaking.
Yeah.
Um, and it seems like he's kind of at the end of his rope.
Mm-hmm.
Also, shout out to the Magic School Bus. I
Yeah.
friggin' laughed out loud.
Still every time. But yeah, that was like a because that first appeared in Zatanna's arc when she's like, I thought I saw
Mhm.
Superboy. That's the moment it happened.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, this episode is all about wrapping up the last few ones. Obviously, reveal that Arian is a clone. Um,
Mhm.
McGann helped clone Orm see his true like history. So it flashed back to Vandal Savage and the Ultra Humanite talking and being like, wipe his memories, and that's when they revealed Arian was a clone. Um,
Mhm.
and they like that's when they talked about like, oh, we're sorry we had to kill you when Lady Shiva had chopped his head off because he was
Yeah.
across the street from the. Which, by the way, shout out to the light, like knowing that everyone's secret identities and their families and everything, and they like
Correct.
this is a nuclear option because we know that if we fuck with this is gonna be
Mhm.
we're gonna turn into injustice real quick.
Yeah, exactly. And also, like, I thought it was interesting that not only was Arian a clone, but they used Ocean Master's psyche for
Yeah.
Arian, which was really so. well, not anymore. I was gonna say. So we kind of had a new Ocean Master. But
Yeah,
he dead. But also, speaking of Arian's dead body, do you think that skeleton was actually
I
Arian?
think it was hinted as like because
Mm.
his crown was right under it because they were kind of
Yeah.
like, oh, you know, sorry for this person that died. And when I was watching this episode, like in the middle of it, I couldn't really tell how I felt about because with watching the last three episodes, it felt like Arian was going to be this big build up, and
Mm.
this whole secret plan was going to kick off, and everything kind of just stopped. Like Arian
It did
died, like Calder
abruptly.
took a break, like everything just
Yeah.
stopped. So I couldn't tell how I felt, and then so I watched it last night when it came out, and throughout today I've seen some people talking about it. I still enjoyed it. I thought it was good,
Mhm.
but I think it just goes back to what we said of like the pacing that
Yeah.
it seemed like it built up for three episodes. It should have built up for two
Mhm.
and then kind of extended out. But that's just like a
Yeah.
small thing. But I still had fun with it. I thought it was cool still. And
Yeah, there was still some bright moments. The pacing was definitely kind of a downfall of the episode.
yeah,
I do like that we got closure. It was really good to see kind of Megan back in the field after
yeah,
everything she went through earlier in
yeah.
the
She's out
season.
trying to get
Um,
past a Superboy's death.
yeah, she's moving on, which also kind of brings up the question, what happened to Beast Boy? Which I'm sure we're going to get into in a later episode. I'm sure
Yeah.
well, I hope they don't like leave that loose
Hmm.
going into
I don't think they will.
the season 5 that may or may not happen at this point.
Hmm.
Um, but it's just good to see these characters kind of moving on with their life,
Hmm.
kind of work still needs to be done. So I thought that was a highlight of the episode. They didn't make too much of a big deal about it either. They kind of just like,
She's back.
yes, Megan's back and she's doing her thing.
Hmm.
And I thought it was really cool how she instantly knew that it was Simon's like
Yeah,
mental
she's like
touch.
this dumbass.
Dumbass.
I thought it
So
was.
yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
go ahead, go
No, go
ahead.
ahead.
I was just going to say that there were some bright spots in the episode, but I think the pacing did kind of bring down the overall arc.
Hmm.
Um, but it was still a good arc. It was still good to see
It was a great
Atlanta
arc. Yeah,
and everything that they're dealing with.
yeah. I was just gonna say if like with everything getting resolved so quickly, I was like, okay, this is I still like this. Like I liked when at the end, like when Calder's like, I gotta take a break, which
Mm,
we were talking about polyamory relationships last week. Is it
mm.
being implied that Dolphin's gonna join Wind and Calder in the relationship, or is she just like a good friend?
I think she's a good friend.
Okay.
I may be biased in saying I hope it stays that
I
way.
hope it does too, because obviously
But like,
they already have a polyamory relationship.
yeah,
I think I like Calder and Wind's relationship a lot.
I
Like
like the relationship a lot.
even going back to last season when
Mhm.
Calder and Wind went on that mission to Granny Goodness's house,
Yeah.
and Wind was like, "I'm not gonna let you go alone. Like, yeah, obviously I'm your partner. I'm here." So that
Mhm.
was just something that I was like, "Oh, is she like just like a house guest, I guess, or whatever."
Yeah.
I mean, she's
And
still
I
new to
think
Atlantis, and
yeah, she's new in Atlantis, and that's like her people. So I
yeah,
think they're just really good
just
friends.
homies.
If they do spin it, they spin it. I'm not gonna
I don't
fight
think
it,
they
but
will. I think
I do like him and a Win just kind of being their own little bubble.
yeah. Um, we mentioned about Arthur, the original Aquaman, figuring out
Hmm.
what he wants to do. He does mention like I might go back to the Justice League, and
Hmm.
this is where Calder mentions he's going to go on break. Um, Arthur was like, you know, if we can have four Green Lanterns, which who's our fourth Green Lantern, by the way, because we have Hal, we have John, and Guy.
Hmm.
Who's is Jessica hanging
Um,
around?
I think it's Jessica. I
Better show me
think
Jessica.
she's she's around somewhere. I think it would have to be Jessica or uh because most of the other lanterns are off world. Well, also
Well, say
that's just the
we know.
comics.
I say
It's
we
not.
know about three. We know about the first three who are in the league
Yeah.
already, and then he mentions he's like, if they can have four Green Lanterns and two Flashes, which is like, who's the second
Mhm.
Flash? Is it Jay? Um,
Yeah.
and then it made me realize, well, because I was when I was editing the episode yesterday, I included
Mhm.
that clip of Superman saying we need a Justice League reserves. So I
Yeah.
assume like Jay Garrick is just like a reserve Justice League member in case shit gets
It could
crazy.
be
Yeah.
because
So
he's still kicking around.
yeah,
Because if I remember correctly, Impulse is just
he's still
Kid
Kid
Flash at
Flash.
this
Yeah.
point. Yeah, so I don't think he's taken on the mantle of Flash yet.
Yeah.
But he definitely did say two Flashes and four Green
Yeah.
Lanterns,
So, and that's when,
which
and we said it already. Like, I think it's big of Calder to be like, I need a break. Like,
Mhm,
I think that's why so many people have always liked him as a character. And what we were saying last time of, he's always been the most mature person in the room in most of these
mhm.
situations, even when he's hanging out with Batman, because we know Batman's head ass. But Calder's like, hey, you know what? We did this mission. I grew my beard out. I like the nice detail where his regular hair was growing out too. It wasn't like all nice. It was like everything was growing out. He's
Mhm.
like, I need to relax.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely like that. And shout out to Lagan finally getting
Yeah,
his finally getting his time in the league.
yeah. So Lagan's
Let's
gonna
go.
join as an Aquaman,
Which,
and his child was born too.
yeah. Yo, he is living the good life
Yeah.
right now.
So in this episode, so we didn't get any Halo, right? Or am I misremembering? There was no Halo, right?
No, we did not have any
No
Halo.
Halo, no Beast Boy,
This episode was strictly
Atlantis, and Superboy.
yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
But yeah, I thought it was a good
Um
one.
mhm.
I did think it was. We briefly mentioned it when Zatanna, aka Doctor Fate, shows up to see Vandal. I thought it was like a
Mhm.
fun conversation between a dad and a son, where
Yeah.
he's like, "Did you come here to gloat?" He's like, "I told you, like can't be fucking around with this shit."
Right.
Um, but I said this last time too. I love Vandal as a character, his
Mhm.
motivations, the way he approaches everything. It's like his relate. What I love about Vandal is his relationships with so many different characters because always he's been around forever,
Yeah.
and like knowing that like just the fact that Doctor Fate shows up, he's like, "You come here to gloat? Like what the fuck? Like I'm already." I love that dynamic so much,
While I'm
like
down.
yeah,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. I do find it interesting that the gods of chaos, gods of order, excuse me, um just kind of zapped the power away.
yeah,
So like Arian's crown is no longer an artifact of
hmm
order, which I am kind of bummed about. I'm not gonna lie to you.
but that
Because
would
like
make it
I'm
uneven. Like I feel like because they're all about the balance.
I mean pot like I get why they zapped Arian. Like I get why they killed him. They did
Yeah,
not want Vandal Savage to have power over over a god of
70% of
order.
the Earth.
So like I get why they killed off Arian. But like I kind of wanted the crown to stay in play,
Yeah,
because of course we have Doctor Fate and Zatanna's arc. Though it's over, that
it's
storyline
still
is
gonna
not
yeah,
finished. Obviously,
mhm.
especially with Vandal Savage still present,
Yeah,
still very much present, still very much scheming. This whole arc, the whole last arc, was a Vandal Savage scheme.
hmm
Who knows? Maybe the Martians were a Vandal Savage scheme, they're
yeah,
a Vandal Savage scheme as well. You just don't know.
yeah.
But like, I feel like with Zatanna's arc not being concluded, I feel like in my mind anyway, my mind theory was that
The hope.
the gods of order and chaos were like gonna just get all these freaking avatars and just kind of have like a civil war on
Ooh, that'd be
Earth,
cool.
and
Like
it would have been epic.
it'd be just like in Yu-Gi-Oh when they get all the Millennium items
All
and they all
right,
come together and fight.
we gotta go. I'm suddenly tired.
But yeah, that was episode 17. That's the end of Aquaman's arc. So we don't know
Mm,
whose arc is next, right? It's either going to be Rockets or Dick's.
correct. We have to wait for the coming previews
So
before we see who. Mhm.
if there's 26 episodes, there's 9 episodes left. If we've been getting 4 episodes an arc, so we'll get 4 episodes for the next one. I assume Dick's is going to be last. So it'll
I
be
assume so too.
like Rocket for
Um,
4 episodes, Dick for 4 episodes, and then the final episode of whatever's been
yeah.
happening this season.
Yeah, I assume that Nightwings is going to be last simply because even though this is not a Batman show, they like to pretend that it is.
Yeah.
Because last season it was a whole ordeal. Was it last season?
Which one?
Well, it was a whole ordeal where everyone got mad at Batman because like he was in lead of
Oh, that was
he
last
had
season. Yeah, that's
yeah
when
he had
When Black Lightning
everyone
called him out. But
yeah
honestly, it's some of my favorite, and we've talked about this plenty of times. Of it's this cycle of because they keep pushing Batman so much, it's you like seeing
Mhm.
him and his stories of
yeah
last season when that was happening, where you're talking about Black Lightning called him out, Barbara was calling him out when Dick got hurt. She was like, "Whose mission is it? Is it the mission or yours?" And that stuff
Mhm.
I love when people call out Batman for his shit. That I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think Nightwing's gonna be the
The last
last
one.
arc because he's kind of, even though he wasn't the leader, he's kind of the reason that they're all there.
Yeah.
And so we
Well, he took
have
over
all of these.
leadership, remember? After yeah.
That's true. You're right. But we have all of these arcs that aren't necessarily entangled, even though we see bits and pieces here and there.
Hmm.
I feel like the final arc is going to be all of them coming back together because either Vandal Savage or somebody has kind of brought them all back together through these different individual circumstances.
Yeah.
So I feel like, because Rocket, good character,
But they haven't
but
given her much.
we don't know anything
They
about
haven't
her.
given her
So
anything really.
I feel like, and we do know from the trailers that Rocket will be with the new gods.
Hmm.
So I feel like they're gonna find a way to bring Rocket. Rocket and the new gods are gonna have something to do with Mars, and then we're gonna have the culmination of Mars and Vandal Savage
Hmm.
in the final arc,
Yeah.
the final 5 episodes.
So what
That's
do
my
we?
prediction.
Yeah. So what do we have left to wrap up in the season? That's been kind of been left open. We have the stuff with the Martians, right?
We have the stuff with the Martians.
McGon with Superboy,
Mhm.
Wally
Superboy lost. Wally question mark.
question mark, the
Beast
Legion,
Boy sad.
Beast Boy sad.
Legion.
Um, but
What are
with
they
Dick,
doing?
with Dick, like you're saying, with Dick being the last arc, it's probably obviously he's gonna wrap everything up. That'll wrap.
Mm,
That'll be if they do bring Wally back in some kind of way. That'll be the place to
yeah,
do it in Dick's arc.
yeah,
Um,
I believe so.
Part of me
I
is
believe
wondering
that's
if they're going to address Jason this season or wait till next season if we get a next season.
if we get any notice, because he's kind of just dead, you know.
He's just like
We.
he's
I
just
mean, we
there
all know why he's dead
because
if they go the comic book
he
route,
was
but
there in
like,
Artemis's arc, right? When they went to the island, was Jason there? I think he
I
was.
don't. Was he?
I think he was walking around the island, like hanging out.
Oh, okay. I don't
Um,
remember him being there, but I could be wrong.
but yeah, I
Um,
would be curious if they do introduce Jason because that'd be like what 8 Bat Family members at this point.
yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah,
My
that was
goodness,
episode 17, Leviathan Wakes. Um, I enjoyed this arc. It was a good one.
I did.
And I
I
called her.
did too. I
Hopefully season 5 gets greenlit soon because the thing is, even if it gets greenlit like tomorrow, they probably won't start
mm.
production till like later this year, and then it'll come out like 2 years from now, and then
You know what though? It'll still come out before the Wonder Woman game.
Oh,
Thanks for watching tonight, everyone.
yeah.
Um,
But is it gonna come out before Harley Quinn season 3? Because they haven't even drawn the full fucking frame on the.
you know what? You know what will make me stop watching any DC property
Well,
is if the freaking Kite Man sequel comes out before Harley Quinn season 3. The way I would cry real tears.
hey, you know what? E, as soon as this season finishes, of Young Justice, you know what you have to hold you over?
What was that?
The new Batmobile show from HBO Max. That was episode 17 of Young Justice. Thank you guys for watching. We'll be back next week with episode 18. Probably Walker's Heart. We'll see. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, follow us on Twitter. We have a good time on there. We'll see you
Do
guys next
that.
time.
Okay,
Okay, bye.
bye.